All right, we're recording and we're ready to go. I love seeing all your faces. I missed you all last week. I heard it was a great Zoom with Trisha and Holly. So let's do like a rundown of kind of what's happening tonight. So I am going to go through and share a bunch of stuff that I heard last week at the Blue and Prez retreat, which was so good. There's so much stuff because it was 2 full days that I won't be able to get through it all tonight. I'm going to try to cram in as much as I can here in about 20 to 30 minutes. And then Trisha is going to take over the rest of our Zoom tonight. She's going to talk about strengths, and then I'm going to give you guys kind of a hint on what's coming for the rest of the month. So next week, Trisha is going to talk more about mission statement, and it's going to move into the rest of the year. Let me get the dates here for you. So today's the 7th. Next week, she's going to move into like creating a mission statement. Then we're going to move into the 21st, which will actually be our last Zoom of the year. The 21st, we're going to talk about the importance of vision boards and having something that you look at every single day. And then I will talk a little bit about the vision boards that I've created. And I'm hoping that I have one specifically that I remember. And oh, it says my internet's unstable. I'm going to see if I can switch my internet. Give me just 1 second. Because there's so many different rooms going on with workouts right now, and all the different instructors are on different internet streaming music. This one got a little bit wonky, but I'm hoping I can find the vision board that I had before we set out on our trip in our office. I had a vision board, and I would do a different vision board every year, but I kept it because I realized that every single thing that I had on that vision board had come true. I had already accomplished it. And so we're going to move into the end of the year really talking about that and working to helping all of you create your own vision board for going into 2021 and what you want to create. Not only in your business, obviously business is really important as well, and that's on there, but think about your life in general as your family, right? What kind of things do you want to do with your family? What kind of things do you want to do in your community? All of that will be on your vision board. So we'll talk about that more later. But tonight, I want to tell you some other things that I'm going to cover. I posted that question last week when I was in training about the age group that purchases the most essential oils in North America. Okay, so I am going to cover that tonight and why that's so important. I'm also going to give you some tips on how you can continue to grow your business during these times when most of us are home. Most of us are not going every week and teaching classes in person because so many people are having to stay home. So I'm going to give you some more ideas that I learned and I thought were really neat. And then we're also, that's going to kind of move us into talking about building online. I know a bunch of you are in our groups on Instagram, like our comment pods that we have. And I had let you know that I had listened to, her name's Christina Bedell, and she is the first US founder in this new 2.0, right? So we had the founders before, and now we have a new set coming, 200 new founders. However, she is also a North American Latina founder as well. So she has 2 different founder spots. She did not start her Instagram until 2019. And I'm going to tell you what she's doing and what she told us is really working well on Instagram. So I'm going to share that with you tonight. So are you guys ready to dig in? Are you excited to hear it? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start tonight with talking about the age groups, right? So I posted that question, and I did it both in the business tips group and I did it in our customer group. And at the end, it's going to come into full circle about why I did that. I just thought of something I do not want to forget to tell you tonight that I'm writing down. Okay, that's really important. Okay, so when I turned my page here, I took notes on this tonight because I wanted to make sure I give it to you right. So I posed the question, and here was the 4 answers. So first it was 26% of all essential oils in North America, because the Blue and Prez Summit was for the North American leaders, right? They do them in all the different countries. They do one like it for Australia and New Zealand. They do one for the Asian countries, right? So this was specifically for North America. Okay, so 26% of all essential oils in North America is purchased by this age group. Now, there were 5 options. The age of 18 to 24 had no votes in our business tips group. The age, so B would be 25 to 34. There were 9 people that thought that would be the number one. The highest number of votes went to the age group 35 to 44. There were 22 of you that thought that would be the age group that purchased the most. Then it went to 45 to 54. There were 3 of you. 55 plus was 1. Okay. So the group, 26% of all essential oils in North America, not just doTERRA, these are Walmart oils, these are Target oils, these are any oils online, is sold by 25 to 34-year-olds. Okay, that is the number 1 group of people in North America that is buying essential oils. So I want to brainstorm with all of you. Why do you think knowing that is important for your business? I don't want to give you a bunch of answers. I just want to hear from you. Why do you think it's important to hear what the number 1 group, age group of people that are purchasing essential oils is right now?
It gives you an age group to reach out to. So if you have like people on your list that are around that age group, it's something you would direct towards.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anybody else have any suggestions?
I think in years past, it's been an older age group. So I think that's almost like new information, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you always would think, at least to me, I would think like this is something my grandma would have done, right? Or like it used to be older, but now it's kind of moving down to younger generations. Anybody else want to chime in of why you think it would be important to know this information? So Ruby kind of nailed a big one that I wanted to tell you is you want to think about where the market is when you are promoting, when you are sampling, right? When you're educating. Now, here's a huge stat for you to know. Even though 26% of all essential oils in North America are purchased from the age group of 25 to 34-year-olds, that's a huge, huge percent of all the oils, right? These are oils that come from all over. Only last year in 2019, only 12% of doTERRA's sales went to that age group. Even though there's 26% of all the oils are going to that age group, we in doTERRA were only 12% of what we were selling went to that age group. In 2020 so far, since the end of November, that number has grown to now we are selling to 14% in that age group. There is a huge market. So one of the other things that we discussed was this is the age right now that we are coming into a lot of crunchy moms, right? A lot of people that really want to buy essential oils for their family and for themselves, but they're not educated in knowing the difference, right? They're just hearing that these oils do all this stuff and they're just going and purchasing from wherever they can find. Walmart, it's right there at the grocery store, it's at a health food store, right? So they don't understand at this age group, why doTERRA is so different. So this is where we have to step up and really educate this to teach these young moms, right, and young women why our essential oils are different. Okay, so here's a little bit more for you. I'm going to just go down the row. So if you wanted to take notes on this, you totally could. I'm going to give you the percent of all the age groups that we are selling to, or I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you the percents of all the age groups that are purchasing all in North America, and then how much we're selling to each group. Okay. So 18 to 24-year-olds. And this was in 2019. I didn't grab the 2020. In 2019, out of all the essential oils in North America, 16% of them were sold between the ages of 18 and 24. Does anyone want to take a guess at what the age is for doTERRA, or the percent in that age group that we're selling to in doTERRA. If 16% of all North America essential oils are being purchased by 18 and 24, how much is doTERRA? What's doTERRA's percent? Anybody want to take a guess?
Probably less than 10.
You're right, Ruby. 1%. We are only capturing 1% of that age group. 15% of them are purchasing elsewhere.
Okay, hold on. Let me get that straight. 16% of that age group is purchasing essential oils, and only 1% of them are purchasing from doTERRA.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have a huge market in the younger generation.
Well, you know what I was just thinking about too? You're going back to your initial question of why would this be important?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to talk about growing our
we're going to
social
get
media,
it to that too later. You're right.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. Great observation there. Okay, so now moving on. We can kind of group, if you think about all the sales. 35 to 44 was answer C. D, 45 to 54, and then E was 55 and up. If you think of all the sales in North America, all of them are relatively the same, between 19 and about 20%, 21%. Okay, so all of those are about the same for all the sales in North America. When we move over to what we're selling to the age groups, between the age of 35 and 44, that is where 24% of doTERRA sales are going, between the age groups of 35 and 44. When you bump it up to the age of 45 to 54, now we're at 25% of all sales in doTERRA are going to that group. And then when you move up to age 55 plus, 37% of all of doTERRA sales come from that age group. So even though the younger generation, right, is purchasing, I mean, if you take the two younger groups, they're purchasing as much as the older three groups. We are selling drastically lower to that age group in doTERRA. Are you guys following me? Okay. So I'm going to give you some other stats that came out. This is a little bit different. When you look at the growth rate of doTERRA, so in North America, our growth rate was over 5% over last year, which is great. We're still moving up. Now, when we're going to talk about some of these other populations of people and what's the growth has been. So when you look at the age group of 25 to 34%, even though we're still selling less, we're only at 14%, right? And you know, they're purchasing 26% of the oils, but we're only capturing 14% of it. In the last year, our sales for that group, though, has still increased by 25%. So we're starting to catch. We're moving up. Now, with Asian Americans, we have seen a 260% growth in North America in the Asian American population. But when they did the math on this, there is still a potential of enrolling 1.6 million people in North America that are Asian Americans. So we still have a ton of growth there. Now, when you move to the Hispanic and Latino group, we saw 120% growth in the last year in that category, but there's still 1.1 million people that they say are potentially to be enrolled. So the growth is huge. So that they're looking at family. They do a lot of different statistics on that to get that number. So just kind of wanted to share with all of you kind of what is coming out number-wise there. So if I move through, and I'm going to talk about Instagram in a little bit, and this is going to kind of come into that. But now that we've got the stats down, let's talk about some different ways that all of you at home, some different things that I heard that you guys can be growing even from home, even if you're not traveling and doing classes. I know some of us are still doing one-on-ones in person or small classes, but some of you are not, right? Some of you are just home. So we talked about the Facebook parties. There has been some really successful Facebook parties that has happened. I know Holly did some. I think Trisha, Hall, you have one that's happening, I believe, this week. Trisha in Colorado, you also did a few of them in the last couple weeks. And so we have seen some great things happen, great education enrollments that are coming from those. And I wanted to let you, if you guys, and I know Natasha, we kind of messaged about this too. Some of you want to see a Facebook party that's happening. So if anybody's doing one this week that she can jump in on, Natasha would love to see one. I have a few that I need to get scheduled with people that want to do them as well. So you can always tag in on mine. But I want to give you another spin on kind of an online party, if you think about this. So one of the leaders shared what has been working for her team since everyone has been home is they're doing what they're calling pampering parties. It's like a ladies' night in. And what they do is they package up samples of skincare, of oils from like the Emotions line. So what they're sending is like a facial cleanser, a sample of moisturizer, a sample of Yarrow Palm. And if you guys have seen the little teeny tiny sample bottles that have the little squirt top, that's what they're putting like the Yarrow Palm in, and just enough for like the application that night and the next night. If the Reveal system is available, they were doing that. Right now it's not available, or the mud mask, you kind of have to watch. They were sending a sample of citrus to go in water, peppermint, and a mood oil. And what they were doing is gathering all these women at night after their kids were in bed on Zoom. So they said it can be smaller. You can have a few ladies together, or it can be a larger group of like 20. Like you can go together with other teams and other people and make it really fun. And these ladies get on Zoom and they have all of their samples, and you tell them ahead of time you're going to want like a wet washcloth and you know, a hand towel, and grab yourself a glass of water because you're going to put some oils in there. And they all meet, and then they teach them one by one about how we can use these oils internally, and they're getting to taste them, and how we can use these oils topically, and they're getting to apply a mood oil like Adaptive. And they're talking then about the aroma, right? About aromatic use. And then they move into pampering all of them and teaching them how to take their makeup off with the oils or with the skincare line, and then moisturizing, and then using the Yarrow Palm serum, or vice versa. Maybe you use the serum first and then you moisturize. All of that they're doing on Zoom, and it's very interactive. They're teaching all the women. They said it's really fun because they all have blue faces at one point because they all have the Yarrow Palm on. So I thought that would be something really fun, especially right now during the holidays, right? Women want pampering more than they're all stressed, right? Think about your friends, think about their jobs that they have. They're at home with their kids on Zoom all day for classes. So keep that in your toolbox that you could do pampering parties. And this is a great place that you could do it not only with your team members, but they're getting lots of enrollments by sending out samples to people that do not have oils yet. It's another avenue to get oils into people's hands and to sample. So I thought that was a really fun idea that I wanted to share. And I would encourage you, if you think that you only have maybe 2 or 3 people that you would send samples to partner up with someone, because it would be really fun if you could get a bigger group where there's more interaction, right? You could do fun things, you could do little drawings, you could make it fun. I thought it would also be fun to come up with maybe like a kind of a template of how you want to run the class. So if anybody wants to do this, we could make like a Word doc or something about maybe samples you want to send, some fun things to do, things not to forget to say, right? So if that would be helpful for you, kind of like a class outline, we could totally throw something together and come up with something like that. But think about a pampering party. Pamper the ladies in your life this winter. This would be something fun to even bring into like January and February. You could do a pampering party every month. But this is just another avenue for you guys to get out there, and you could encourage your team members, right? If you've got team members that may have people that want to join in, and if you have the samples and maybe they don't, maybe you could send them to them as well. So just some ideas. I thought that was really fun. So Facebook parties are kind of like a big thing right now. We're hearing that a lot of people don't want to sit in a class, right? Sometimes people are burned out with Zoom. Now, I can still get some people on Zoom occasionally. I can still pull in a couple people for classes here and there. But if you're struggling, offer something different. If you offer the Facebook party that runs over just a few days, they get to log in when they're available and participate when they're available, instead of having to be available at one time for a class that you're doing on Friday night, right? And if they're not available Friday night, then they miss your class. So sometimes if you're thinking like you want to be able to capture more people at different times, that's why these Facebook parties have also been really, really helpful. Does anyone have any questions on any of that? I forgot to ask about questions with all the stats too, before I move on. Anything you want to add? Is that a no, Trisha, to me, that you don't have anything to add? Okay. Awesome. Is anybody excited about trying a pamper party with your girlfriends? Yeah, I think it'd be so fun to do something like that. What kind of different ideas of things would you think would be fun to send out?
I mean, a mask, like a sample mask.
Yeah.
Anybody that uses that mask, it's always their favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Like of any mask that they've used. But yeah, I would definitely do the Yarrow Palm, like the dark blue one, just because it's freaky to like put that on your face.
Yeah.
I typically give that to anybody that comes over to my house anyway. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to feel how hydrating this is.
Mm-hmm.
So I sold 2 bottles last month.
Julie, yeah, a toothpaste sample would be fun too. We can't buy the new one though, can we? Let me give you an update on that toothpaste tonight too.
Ooh, you know what else is like a little roller of perfume? Like one of those, is it the 5 drink, is it drink?
Drams.
Yeah. There's like 5/8 roller drams
Mm-hmm.
that I had at some point that I got from Oil Life. But that would be kind of fun. You could mix up like Whisper and Magnolia, or just, I mean, you could do the Quintana.
I don't know if I can part with that and here's the other thing, they wouldn't be able to buy it. If they fall in love with it, we don't want to tell them you can't buy it.
We'd have to mix something then.
Yeah.
We'd have
to make something for them.
Yeah.
Another thing that I just thought of what might be good, if we're doing this in the evening, what about giving them an oil they can put on to relax to sleep? Like Serenity or, something like that they could put on to help them get a good night's sleep. That may be fun. Okay. I'm going to write that down. So when we're coming up with I thought that was a really great idea when they talked about that. So
yeah. I feel like
I'm missing chat. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trisha.
Oh, I'm just thinking to myself, like, there's a lot of organization that goes into this.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really good if we could create a calendar of like, if you're going to host, a pamper party every other week, here's when you need to invite, here's when you need to solidify, here's when you need to get those samples in the mail. Like there's a lot of logistical work. And I think that for those that are less organizational minded, I think it would be nice to like have that all written out. Like if we could make a timeline, that'd be
yes.
Right.
So I think, and that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, this is perfect. And I think we need to brainstorm and come up with an outline.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to help create that and jump on a Zoom where we can talk it through, will you just pop it in the chat or tell me now so I can write your name down, and maybe we can come together and try to help create an outline and what would be some great samples. And obviously you guys can always, change and however you want, but I would love to come together with some other, because all of you have great ideas. If you want to help us create this, maybe like in the next week so that we can get it out to everyone. If you want to do one in December, maybe you can raise your hand or throw it in the chat. I'll write your name down and I'll group us in a message on Facebook and we can try to come together for planning. And I see I missed some chat, so I'm going to go back before I move on to our next subject. So, Julie mentioned the toothpaste, and here's what I heard about the toothpaste on the Blue Press group. An ingredient in the new toothpaste is made in Europe, and it's made in one country, and then it has to go, I'm forgetting which country, then it has to go to Italy and to another country. So it goes to 2 different countries in Europe. And like a second process is done before it's shipped to the US. So Europe has been closed down. doTERRA thought that they would get it because they opened up. Well, it made it from whatever the first country is to Italy, and now it's shut down and they can't get it out of the country to get it to the US to sell it. So they're basically waiting. Now they think it's going to be early January, is fingers crossed when we'll have it. But they're not making any more of the other toothpaste, right? Because they thought that we would have enough, or they thought we would get this new one before we ran out of the old one. And so they don't have any right now. And it's not like they can just go whip up a batch tomorrow. So in doTERRA, at their corporate office, doTERRA only creates, they ship all the essential oils to their corporate office, right? They bottle everything there and they make all the blends at corporate. Everything else is third party. They send them like the oils and then they ship in all the other ingredients, and it's made by third party companies and bottled for us and then shipped to doTERRA. So doTERRA doesn't even have everything there, if that makes sense, to make any, they can't create the shampoo, they can't create the hand soap, the toothpaste, any of that. They basically order in and get all the ingredients and ship them to a third party who does the mixing and the bottling for us. So they can't even get it to us right now. So I think the toothpaste samples would be great when we can get them and have toothpaste to sell them, because I love the new one. But that's just for you guys to know. Like, I'm not posting that publicly in our customer group because, and here's one of the reasons why. For us, it's okay to know. Sometimes when we say that, it sets off one customer who makes a horrible comment, and then it feeds on all these other ones when I don't even need to have that there, right? We just can't get it right now. And it's because of COVID, and it's because of shipping, and it's totally out of doTERRA's control. And so many other countries are dealing with the same thing right now, right? So that's just for you to know. I'm glad you brought that up, Julie, because I wanted to tell you, and it wasn't on my notes for tonight. Okay, so let's move on to our last subject tonight that I want to talk about is Instagram. So Christina Bedell, she started her Instagram for doTERRA. Let me give you a backstory. She is a woman, probably, she may be 30. She's young. She looks really young. And yeah, that's young to me. Some of you are that age. So she was a photographer, and she lives in Miami, Florida. And she was introduced to doTERRA and decided to start a doTERRA Instagram in April of 2019. Okay. She hit presidential. She's a North American Latina founder. And she just, within the last couple months, she took the first spot, which they thought would take at least a year to get. She took the first Founders 2.0. And she says, I have built 95% of my business on Instagram. And she says, I'm telling you, I look at all your Instagrams and you're doing it all wrong. Here's what you really need to do. So if you look up Christina Bedell on Instagram, you're going to see she has a personal Instagram, she has her photography, and she has her doTERRA. Just so you know, everything is in Spanish, because Spanish is her first language and English is second. And this is why she's a North American founder, and this is why like all of her builders speak Spanish, right? Because they can understand her. So if you don't speak Spanish, you will not be able to understand like her videos and what she's saying. But I want to give you some tips that she shared with us that may be really useful for you if you want to build online. I have not built online. I have my Instagram that I fart around with every now and then, but I've never really built online. I have always built in person, and now on Zoom with all of you, right? So I am a more in person, but it's not that I don't want to dabble and explore. So here's what she said. People do not want to sit and look at your posts, and they don't want to sit and watch long Instagram TVs, and they don't want to sit and read when you throw up a picture and then you type a novel on Instagram. People don't want to read it. She goes, I am capturing people like crazy because I do funny videos. So if you look at her doTERRA one, you will see, and it's called like Amigas Naturalis or something like that. You will notice on her, and I will share it with all of you here in a bit. You will notice that she has a picture of, let's say, the wellness kit. And when you go to that, it's actually a video, which I need to figure out how to put up a picture in the beginning of my videos. So, and then it goes into like a funny, like, okay, so let's just say the pain, right? She's got the pain one, and she pretends like she's working out or doing something, and she hurts her neck, and then she hurts her foot. And then it shows her with the stuff in the kit, and she's using it, like rubbing it in her neck, and then she's using the roller ball and she's rolling it on her foot. And then she has like a few, like the words that will pop up. So that is one of the ways that she's capturing people. And she says everyone that she's capturing is through stories. She does funny videos and different videos in stories. And she says, you want it to be short, you want it to be engaging, and you want it to be educational. And it needs to show you true, happy, smiling, having fun. And what she said is she wants every one of her stories to be shared many, many times, because every time one of her customers or somebody on Instagram shares it, she gets 10 more likes per share. So she says, I work about 4 hours a week coming up with content for my Instagram. I only make 3 posts a week, like on, is it an Instagram wall, whatever you call it? She only makes 3 posts a week on her Instagram. The rest is all stories and videos that she's created. And here's the other catcher that she says. She says, the reason why I am enrolling people, and 80% of the people that she is enrolling want to build. She goes, obviously they don't all want to build, or they don't all build, because we are told time and time again by people that they want to build, but they're not building, right? We've all had people that will tell us, hey, I want to build with you. I want to build this business, and don't do anything. But she said 80% of the people enroll and they want to build immediately. Many of them do, but some of them don't. But she says, the reason why I'm enrolling so many builders is because when I educate, 50% of what I am educating on is the business. She goes, unapologetically, when you look at all of my trainings, at all of my classes, I teach 50% on the business and 50% on the product. And she says, why is that? It's because I not only can help people with their health, but I also can help people with their finances. So why don't I want to talk about that? I can rescue and help people with their financial hole that they're in. And she says, all of you are missing that. People are seeking out things right now to help them with their finances. And when they find out that not only can they be helped with their finances, but their health all in one, she says, that is where you guys are missing it. This is what you need to incorporate. Stop posting every day all these long, boring posts on your Instagram, and start doing funny videos and videos that capture an audience, that educate about our business opportunity and about our product and how they can marry that together, and get funny stories and things that people want to see and want to share. Because here's the kicker. This is what the highest percent of all the oils that are sold in North America, right, are being sold to that age group, 26 to 34. And this is what they want to hear. And this is what they're buying. And this is why she is enrolling a ton, not only of North American Latinos, but people in that age group, because she has figured out how to speak to them. And obviously she's Spanish speaking too, but she has figured out what this age group wants to hear. And she is capturing and making her audience fit to who is buying essential oils right now. Does anyone have any questions on that? Or comments? I will also say that, let me find my phone. She said 50% of the people that are following her on Instagram are already wellness advocates with doTERRA that aren't on her team, that just want to see what she's doing because they hear like how amazing that she's done. And I want to see it. She didn't have, I mean, she had Amigas. Here's her Instagram, Amigas, AMIGAS. Oh, I lost it. It's pulling it up. Naturales, NATURALES. That is her doTERRA Instagram. She has 21,500 followers, and half of those are doTERRA wellness advocates. So she has built to presidential with literally like 10,000 other people on her Instagram, which is still a lot, way more than what I have. But if you look at a lot of people in doTERRA who have loads and loads, you know, some of them have 100,000 or more followers on Instagram, they have not grown as fast as her. So she told us why, exactly why. Yes, they can enroll people. We have people on our team that are building on Instagram, but still compared to what she's enrolling, yes, we have people on our team that are enrolling between 2 and 5 people a month, sometimes only 1, sometimes 3 from Instagram, but she is consistently enrolling 25 to 30 people a month from Instagram. Now, here's another tip that she said, and this was something that I was like, oh, that's a great idea. She says, record a class and record it over and over and over until you have one that you absolutely love. Now, remember, 50% of what she's talking about is the business in her class. And she says, my class isn't more than 20 to 30 minutes long. And she says, when people are messaging me and they're saying, and remember, you have to be upbeat and smiling in the class. They don't want to see like boring face, right? She says, when people are messaging me on Instagram and they want to see my class, which she talks about a couple different times a week in her stories on Instagram, that she's got free education, she's got this class, she just sends them the link in Instagram to her class that's already recorded. She says, yes, I still teach live to people, but what I have found is because of everyone's schedules in different time zones in different countries, I cannot get them all together once or twice a week at the same time. I'm missing so many people. So what I decided to do was record a class, and she goes, I literally had to record it over and over and over until I got it just perfect the way that I wanted. She goes, and then I have that class to immediately send out to every single person that wants to watch a class. So she says she does teach live, but it's not very often anymore because she can capture so many people by immediately sending them the link. But she also says that even out of all the people that reach out to her on Instagram and want her class and want to enroll, she still is only enrolling about 20% of them. So there's still about 80%. So if you think about, or she said 20 to 30%. So she said, if you think about the way that we used to teach before, like Elise taught us, like you sample everyone, right? Before a class, she still has that stat because she isn't able to sample all of these people. So she's still, but even with 20 to 30% of the people that are enrolling and what she's created, it is so helpful for her and her business. Okay, I just saw that I'm missing some chat. So let me go back. Okay, so Trisha, you. Trisha, you just said, I still think it's important to keep it simple so you don't overwhelm people and think about how to connect to enrollment kits. But maybe you're talking about the Facebook or talking about the party that we're talking about there. Sorry, I missed some of these. The pampering party. Detox bath would be fun, Ruby, but you don't want to get people in the bath on your Zoom. They said it was fun just to have people doing things like with their face and their hands and their wrists. But yeah, that would be a fun thing to do too. You're welcome, Holly. Okay, in regards to the pampering party. Okay, perfect. Yes, and so they've created, talking about the pampering party, Trisha, they create different kits too based on what they have. They're not all about the oils. So they'll create something different, or even do like the deep blue rub, which they can send them to put on their shoulders. They can do that, what is it, the Simple Start Kit, I think is what it's called, and add a couple things like skincare to it. So you can have that kit pre-created for them. Okay, anything about the social media that I shared that you guys have questions about or excited about before we move on? I know I've taken over half an hour now, 40 minutes of your time.
I mean, I like it. I like what she's doing and the fact that she sends over the link to her Zoom class through Messenger, because it's true, sometimes it's never a good moment for anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say upload it like to YouTube and just make it unlisted, so they have to have the link to get it, just kind of like what we do with these Zooms. You have to have the link to get it, and then you can just send it out to whoever you want. She did say too, don't talk about promos because you want to use the same video over and over and over. And if you talk about the monthly promo in that, then you have to recreate your video every single month. And because she's getting people that contact her from all these different countries, that you want to be careful about talking about different countries. Like you want to keep it to the basics. So. Okay. Anything else? So who is going to go and look at Christina's Instagram and all her videos that she's done? So Julia's, okay, Natasha, awesome. So one of the things she does too is because she does all these stories that she captures them in the highlights. That's something I haven't done and I need to do, is create all the highlights for that. So she saves them. So you'll notice on some of them, she's taught the power of 3 on Instagram stories to people, and she saved it in one of her highlights. Like, she's done all of these things because that is where people are going to get educated, even on the business and building and how to, earn an income. So she's captured some of that as well. So you can check out all of that. Unless you speak Spanish, you won't be able to understand it, but you can still see what she's doing and recreate that within your own Instagram. But now let's also talk, remember that that's 26%, right? And then the 18 to 24-year-olds were 16%. But there is still a huge market between 35 to 55 plus, right? 55 plus, 37% of all doTERRA cells are going to that. So, okay, we're going to turn it over. Trisha, are you ready, my dear? I don't see your sweet face.
Yes, I'm ready.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I know it's kind of dark. Let me see if I can. I was charging my phone. Let me see if I can move this now. That's why I went dark, because my phone died.
Oh, okay. I'm just glad it died when I was speaking and not when you were speaking.
Well, yes. I mean, yes. All right. So this is a really different group from who was on last week. So did anybody catch the Enneagram and do the assignments?
Ruby says she did.
Okay. Did you take a look at some of your relationships in your life, like the ones that are maybe hard, and figure out like what number that is? Did you do that at all?
I got my husband to take the Enneagram too, and we're actually almost the same except for the very first one. Like, I'm a 3 and he's a 5, but the other two, I'm like 319 and he's 591.
You mean like in order of what he got?
Yes. Like my top 3, I guess, personalities, like personality traits, we were almost identical.
So say that again. Yours is
319.
And he was 513.
591.
Okay, so with Enneagram, it has to be one of those things. So even though you might have traits that go with the other personality numbers, it has to be one of them. And so go back through and read the description for the 3, the 1, and the 9. And see, one of them, you should hopefully feel like one of the descriptions is describing you. Some people don't always, but you should, hopefully. Okay. Yeah. And so you have to think about go back to those core desires. So for example, for you, would you say that your core desire is to be good, to be admired, or to have stability?
To be good.
To be good. And then like, what is your motive? Like, what drives that? So for example, mask wearing. Do you wear a mask because that's the rule and you want to respect others? Or do you wear a mask because you want others to respect you? Like, they want you to look at you and be like, oh, she's, I like her. I feel safe with her. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. No, I'd probably say the second one.
Because you want people to respect you. Like,
yes.
Okay.
Like I'm sending a good message.
You're sending a good message. So there's more questions that I could ask. Do you feel like you your biggest fear would be being wrong or being rejected?
Being wrong.
Okay. Do you feel like your biggest fear would be to be corruptible or to be exposed?
Wow, corruptible.
Corruptible. And do you struggle more with resentment toward others or with deception?
Resentment.
Resentment. Okay. So I would say of the 7 questions I've asked you, 6 of those point toward number 1. So even though the Enneagram might have said that you align most with a number 3, it sounds to me like you're a 1-wing 9. But you
Gotcha.
have to go figure that out. So you've got to go, like, it's really easy to Google. Hey, P.S., did you guys know that DuckDuckGo was bought out by Google? So now we all have to go find new search engines. I know, irritating, right? Anyway, side note. But you could go look that up and then and read the description. So like, just Google description for Enneagram 1, and it'll kind of tell you, it'll walk you through, and then do description. You're not a 9. And
Yeah.
so, and then and 1s and 3s get mixed up a lot.
I thought
But
I was a 3.
right. One of them is a more dominant personality than the other one. 3s are a dominant personality and 1s are not.
Gotcha.
So anyway, go through and read both of those. Read their struggles. Read, like, it'll kind of talk to you about how others perceive you or kind of how you interact with others. And one of them will stick out more than another. But because 1 and 9 are so close together, that's what tells me that you might be a 1-wing 9. And then your husband, again, it was 5, 1, 3.
5, 9, 1.
5, 9, 1. So he might actually be a 9-wing 1 or a 1-wing 9. And the 5 is just, he's taking on those traits. But you would have to ask him the same questions. Like, is your core motive to feel capable or to be good? And those words can be similar, And then does he struggle with, see, I've only met him once, or twice, but even in those 2 times, like, their core fear is to seem like incapable or ignorant. And that doesn't seem like his core fear, Anyway, So those are some things to think about. Did you look into a relationship that is really hard for you at all? Maybe that
No,
can be this week. So you guys can look at a relationship that's really challenging in your life and try to see, once you figure out your own number, see if that other person will either take the Enneagram, or if you can figure out, like, you find your number and then, thank you, go brush your teeth in another room. You can figure out from there, maybe, like, potentially even what their number is by just how you interact, right? So, like, let's say that you're a 1, you can look up what other Enneagram numbers do 1s oftentimes have trouble with. And sometimes that can really help you understand, like, maybe why you're clashing in a relationship. That's helped me a lot. Okay, so go back, you guys, and do that, and figure out who is close to you and what number are they, and then what relationships might you be struggling with, and can the Enneagram kind of help you work through that? I shared last week that I oftentimes really struggle with Enneagram 2s. And so now when I enter a relationship with an Enneagram 2, I'm really upfront and I say, like, I'm probably going to let you down at some point because we think really differently about the world. And so I end up upsetting them, and then they end up withdrawing. And because that's how their personality works. And then when somebody withdraws from me, I tend to kind of withdraw as well. And it just doesn't end very well, because when they withdraw, they want to be pursued. And I'm not going to pursue somebody who's withdrawing. But knowing all of that has really helped me with those 2 relationships on how to pursue them when and if we do get into an argument. Okay, so I want to move in tonight to Strength Finders. I'm going to shut my door. My toddler did not shut it when he excused himself. So hold on just a second. All right, so how many on this call have taken Strength Finders? Okay, good. Okay. So this was an assignment that BB gave us this last spring. So those of us that were on her team then probably did take it and unlocked all of them. I want to start, if you guys have a pen and paper, and I want you to write 5 I am statements. And preferably not something like I am a mother or I am a daughter, but something like I am strong. I am passionate. So I want you to write down 5. Okay, was that hard or easy for you guys?
Pretty easy.
Okay, good. One of your assignments this week is I want you to see if you can write a sheet of paper worth. So 25, 30, okay? And all positive affirmations of I am something, okay? I actually found this exercise really hard. The joy exercise that we did a couple of months ago was easier for me. I could figure out what brought me joy, but this one was harder. And I tend to be really hard on myself. And so that's a typical trait of like a 1 or a 3, is that we have a hard time knowing what is really good about ourselves. But just an affirmation that you can read over yourself, especially in a time of frustration or when you're not feeling very good. I love to put Adaptive in my hands and rub my neck and my shoulders and read my I am statements over myself. And then I also really like to read them over my kids, except like you are strong or you are that kind of a thing. So I start with that because we know from Strength Finders that we are many things, right? And so I want you to take a look at those top 5 strengths. Does anybody know them off the top of their head or have them handy and want to read them to us?
Futuristic, relator, activator, belief, and strategic are mine.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mine are restorative, learner, developer, empathy, and input.
Restorative. Okay. So, Miss Julie, how can you use your restorative strength in your doTERRA business?
I'm still learning that.
Okay.
To get my strength statement together still. I'm still getting through all of that.
Okay.
But I do like to learn, so I can kind of get the rest of it. Restorative was the hardest one for me because that was the least expected when I did it. So I'm not for sure.
Okay. Have you read the description of restorative? Because sometimes the descriptions are different than the word.
Let me see. I have it though. I have it pulled.
Also, can I add, do you know that doTERRA has videos on all of the strengths, Julie, to tell you how you can utilize every strength within your business?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, they're all online for you.
I'll find them.
Phoebe, do you think those are on like a YouTube format or on like the resources tab?
Yeah, it's in the resources. I'll make a note to try to find those and link them in our group.
Well,
Okay.
it says that I would be exceptionally talented in the restorative theme of dealing with problems and figuring out what is wrong and resolving it.
Yeah. See, I heard restorative and I thought, oh my gosh, what a wonderful strength to have in this business. Right?
But I've always kind of been someone to fix it. You know, if there's been a problem, I just need to fix it. So that makes sense that would be it.
Okay. Okay. I heard developer in there. Did I hear learner?
Developer, learner, and input.
Input.
and empathy.
And empathy. So you could take something like restorative and empathy, and you could really leverage those two together, right? Because sometimes like you could combine, I need to fix this, but I'm going to fix this really, really gently and really like in a really understanding way, right? So my challenge to you guys as you're doing your self-development this week is to figure out what those words are and how many ways they can go together, right? So we're going to go back to like um, McMath, right? And applicable math. How many different combinations of ways can you take your strengths and play on them together, right? So for me, one of mine is developer and one of them is achiever. And so how can I take someone that I'm building the business with and develop them and come alongside them and help them achieve, right? So those are some of the statements that I want you to write down and then figure out tangibly like how you can do those. Okay. So if I were to break that statement down a little bit further, okay, so I want to take my team and develop them and help them achieve. Okay. Well, that's still kind of like a big goal or a statement. But maybe what I can do is I can take my team and I can assign a specific book to them based on their Enneagram personality and the struggles that I know. And we can assign that book and we can read it together. And then based on what we're reading, I can assign tangible homework for them that's going to help them achieve based on their strengths. Okay, now we've really lasered in, right? All of a sudden, I'm going to be a really good leader for that person because I love developing. So anybody that loves developing, they're hungry to get to know somebody, how they operate, what makes them tick, that person's strengths, their own strengths. And then I'm going to create something tangible for them to help them achieve. So there's all sorts of ways that we can do that, right? So BB has, you said maximizer is on there.
Futuristic, relator, activator, belief, strategic.
Oh, strategic. Okay, an activator. So I think about when it's the 15th of the month and I have my one-on-one with BB, we are going to look at my team and like scrub the heck out of where the rest of the volume is going to come. That's not in my strengths, but I have a leader who has those strengths. And so she knows that that's not in my strength. And so then she's able to come in and help me with that. And guess what? She probably leaves that call feeling really energized because she just used her strengths, right, to help me on my team. And my strength is achieving. And so now I get to go after it and go achieve, right? And so that's where some of those things come into play. And so hopefully that is really life-giving for BB. So that's my next point, is that if we are using our strengths, we want to do it more and more and more, right? I'm sure BB loves jumping on calls and helping people figure out where their power of three is going to come from, where their gaps are, how to structure their legs, and where the rest of the volume is going to come. And she'll look at me and she'll say, this leg, easily has another $1,000 in it. And I'm like, you gotta be out of your mind. But that brings her joy. And so then she wants to do it more. And then she loves her work. And we each have to figure out how to love our work. And I think the best way to figure that out is to know our strengths inside and out, to write these statements of here's what I can do to love my business, right? So when I worked with, is it Villa or Via?
Yeah.
Eddie Via. So when I worked with Eddie Via in the spring, he really challenged me to reconsider how I was taking an approach on my business. I was trying to do it like somebody else, how I thought it should be done or how I saw somebody else do it. And turns out it was sucking the life out of me because I was trying to operate in my bottom strengths and I didn't even know it. So I was trying to operate under the example is that I really wanted like this core set of beliefs. Here's why I love essential oils. Here's what it's done for me. And here's what it's going to do for you. And I'm not that black and white. And I didn't realize that until I was hearing Eddie talk. And he was saying that that's how I was functioning. And I live in the gray. And so how I develop my business is going to look a little bit different with every single person that is a customer, every single person that's a builder. And I was trying to like lay out this concrete foundation for everybody. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, so that's your second assignment, is to take your strengths and to combine them together and figure out tangible ways that you can use those things. Tangible ways that you can use them in sales, like with customers, tangible ways that you can use them when teaching a class. Okay, so one of my strengths is learner. And so I am always designing new classes. Now, for some of my team members, that would be absolutely exhausting. In fact, doTERRA doesn't even recommend that, right? They recommend having one class that you get really, really good at. But it gives me life to have specific topics that I talk about because I love learning. And so for me to go and watch a whole bunch of videos from Dr. Hill presenting on adaptive, to lifelong vitality, to other functional medicine doctors presenting, like it just makes me want more and more and more. And then I love my job, right? Then I spend 3 hours listening to all this information and I leave the office and I go, wow, I had a really great day. Brian's like, great. Did you get an enrollment? No, I didn't, but I sure studied up on some oils. But it doesn't matter because it gave me joy. I was using my number 3 strength, which is learner, and leveraging that to help me in my business. And all of those things end up coming around. And then I get to teach somebody. And you know, when I'm listening to seminars like that, it naturally comes up. I think the week that I was designing a gut health class, every single person I saw that week, like we would go for a walk or whatever, it came up. And so then I did like 7 one-on-ones that week by accident, just because I couldn't wait to tell them all the things I had learned. Okay, so Amber she posted woo and ideation. Amber, what's ideation? How do you describe that?
I'm glad you asked. Actually, it's one of my favorite strengths. It means that I can connect unseeming ideas to each other. So I'm really good at thinking really creatively out of the box and coming up with ideas.
Ooh. Okay, so how do you use that strength to give you life in your doTERRA business?
I combine it with learner, like similar to what you do, and come up with really fun ideas on how to have fun. So I'm an Enneagram 7, so I use that to come up with creative ideas on how to have fun and be enthusiastic about the things that I'm doing. So the other thing that I do is take some unseeming related ideas, or maybe like ailments or different things, and how do they all work together. So just fun, creative ideas on different things.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Guys, what I want you to hear is that if you are doing things that you love, you're going to want to do it more. And if you're doing things that you don't love, you're not going to want to do it. And so just bringing your business and your feelings about your business to your frontal lobe is really, really important for this. So ask yourself, when you know that you've carved out work time, first of all, if you don't have carved out doTERRA work time, you need to do that. That needs to be an assignment for this week. You have to say, I'm going to do doTERRA from 7 to 9 p.m. on Monday, or whatever it is, because when you try to build it in the cracks of your day, you're not being intentional enough. So you can share wonderfully in the cracks of your day, but I want to let you know, if you're building, you have to have specific time set aside. So that's number 1. But number 2 is, I want you to log how you're feeling going into that time. So if you're getting ready to, it's Mondays and you've committed to 7 to 9 p.m. and it's 6 p.m. and you're starting to think of all the other things that you need to do. Laundry, I need to wrap Christmas presents, I need to buy Christmas presents. And if those are creeping in, guys, you're doing something wrong. you are functioning out of strengths that are not your own. Because I promise you, if you are functioning out of strengths that are your own, you can't wait to get into the office. You can't wait to get there. And of course, we're always going to have things that we don't want to do. But I love working my doTERRA business, and I can get going and easily spend 5 or 6 hours because I get into my groove and I love it so much. And when I don't love it, I bring that to the frontal lobe. So be so aware of your emotions and say, okay, why am I stressed about this? What is bothering me about this? And then write that down and figure it out and say, okay, this isn't aligning with my strengths. Or this isn't my bottom strength. Oh, no wonder. No wonder I don't like this. I'm asking myself to jump into my day being a maximizer, and maybe I'm just not a maximizer. So don't do that, right? If you're a connector, you're going to really, if I'm super relational, I'm not probably going to be a very big maximizer. And so then I'm telling myself I have to contact 50 people today, and half of them better say yes to coming to a class, when really, like, maybe what's going to fill my cup is like 4 30-minute conversations with different people, right? Instead of like really quick conversations. Okay. So 3 things, right, for this week. Number 1 is to write out your I am statements. Who are you? And how awesome are you? Because you're awesome. Number 2 is to figure out how your strengths are connected tangibly in your business. Okay? I can develop people into achieving in this business, right? Those types of things. I can learn more about essential oils so that I can help somebody arrange their health. I mean, whatever that is. Okay, so write out all those statements. Then number 3 is to bring everything about your business to your frontal lobe and to ask yourself how you're feeling. How do you feel when you hang up the phone with somebody? Even if they said no, was it a good conversation? Was it not? How does it make you feel? Maybe you're indifferent and you don't care. Great. But I still want you to know about that. I want you to be very, very aware of how you spend your time. I want you to ask yourself, when you're done with your day, are you from 7 to 9, you worked your business. How do you feel at 9 p.m.? And why? So if you feel defeated, deflated, crappy, you need to go back and figure out what you just did in those 2 hours. And where does that align with your strengths? And if you feel empowered and great and you actually end up working till 10:30, maybe you should do that more. Okay, so those are your 3 assignments with your strengths this week. I'm so excited to wrap up this goal setting workshop because we're going to bring it full circle. So if you've missed these calls, you guys go back and watch them. I promise that you'll get something out of it, and that you'll be more aware of yourself, and you'll be ready to dive into making a mission statement and then setting real, tangible, amazing goals for 2021.
Love it. Love it. I want to add a funny story onto the end of this. So a couple months ago, and this is talking about my strength. So let me phrase. So futuristic, like I can see things happening. Like, let me give you an example. So like for Trisha, just a minute, I need to mute. I'm getting background. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Let me see if I can mute all. Okay. So like working with Trisha this month I was so excited about it because she had hit silver for the first time, like within the middle of the month. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have all your legs lined out. Like you could totally go for gold. You still have 2 more weeks in the month, right? So that's my futuristic. I can see it. And I have strategic and I have belief. So I have all of that. Like I believe in all of you guys. So some of my other strengths that I have, responsibility. I feel a big responsibility to educate and help all of you. And also within my top 10 is developer. So I'm always thinking about different ways that I can help all of you move forward in your business. And so putting together like this fall Zoom series. And so when I was creating like this fall Zoom series, and I didn't even know like the content of each week yet and what we were going to do, I just knew that it needed to happen. And I have so much belief around it. And activator is another one of my strengths. So when I get an idea, I see things in the future, I can go with it. Like, I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And I just like, I'm working within my strengths, and it makes me so happy to do this. I had a leader on my team who says, you know, BB, I know that those are your strengths, but I can really reel you in on your strengths. I think that I need to help reel you in. And I'm like, girl, I don't need help being reeled in. Like, this is what drives and motivates me. This is what keeps me going. And I think when I look, like, our strengths are so different that she doesn't have the same strengths that I do, that I can just kind of go with it, right? And like get an idea and run with it, that she was trying to put me in my bottom strengths. And that's not where I need to be focusing my time and my energy. So know that I love when Trisha says, know your strengths and how you can utilize that within your business, because it is so true. When you are working within your strengths, this is what keeps you going in this business, because you will have hard days. But if you focus on things, the positives on your strengths that you can do day in and day out, you will love this business and you will love your job here. So don't let anyone burst your bubble if you're moving in your own strengths. Okay, I'm going to stop our recording. Let me stop